Hello, thousands upon thousands of rabid fans. We're back with another episode of Snap Copy's Snappy Copy Tips. I'm Lianna Patch.
And I'm James Turner. And today we're going to be talking about 5 common copy mistakes that we see when we're optimizing copy. Also, sorry about the rabies.
Oh, God. James is behind with the joke sometimes. Just sorry about the rabies. How Canadian can you be?
Yes. So the 5 common things that we outlined that we're going to talk about in this video
today.
are...
Not all of them. They're not all the mistakes. You can make many more than these.
This is
but
not
these are
exhaustive.
Five common ones.
Don't relax if you've only caught these 5. There's way more.
There's more.
Right? Another anxiety-inducing snappy copy tips.
Or maybe it's just the rabies. Okay, go on.
Your 2 rabid announcers will continue with passive voice. Passive voice, which we'll talk about what it is if you're like, what even is that? Sentences that do too many jobs, or sentences doing too many jobs. Unclear calls to action. Lack of specificity. And you-centric language.
Or lack of you-centric language.
So if you're just reading that and you're like, yeah, those are totally things that I know, then you can stop watching.
Yeah, bye. Go enjoy your day. Have fun. Yeah. But in case some of those piqued your interest.
Clinic.
Yeah, please. It's too late for you. Once you have it, there is no cure. I don't know if you know this. I learned that from rabies? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in the Zora Neale Hurston novel, Their Eyes Were Watching God. I'm pretty sure somebody gets rabies. Am I confusing it with some other book I had to read in middle school? Anyway, yeah, once you have rabies, you done, son.
Is that still true, or was that an old book?
I think it's still true. Like, I think if it gets to a certain point in humans, like if you're actually rabid, like foaming, you will die. You will die.
Wow. That's heavy.
Anyway.
All right. Well, now these copy mistakes don't seem so...
Yeah. Put it in perspective, guys. Yeah. It's just copy. At least you're not foaming at the mouth.
So where do you want to start with this list?
I want to start with sentences doing too many jobs, because I see that in every type of copy everywhere, and it bums me out. So a sentence doing too many jobs is easy to recognize because it's probably one of the longer sentences you have. And if you're reading through it and you're like, oh, okay, there's a point, comma, oh, there's another point, dash, oh, there's another point, that's a sentence that's probably doing too many jobs. And in general, you want one sentence to make one point. And you can make the point in the sentence and then emphasize it. So maybe the sentence is a little longer. But if you're saying like, a rainbow is red and it's caused by light refraction and it appears in the sky when sometimes it's sunny and rainy outside and there's supposed to be a pot of gold at the end, that's not all one point. Those are 4 points about rainbows that are somewhat spurious, because I'm not a scientist nor a leprechaun. So you probably want to make it clearer to someone that you're giving them discrete chunks of information, so you can separate each of those points into its own sentence and then perhaps expand on it inside that sentence. So rainbows are composed of many colors, including these colors. They are caused by refracted light, which happens when blah, blah, blah. So it's not necessarily saying all of your sentences have to be short, but you only want to make one point with each sentence. And I see this so much because when we learn to write as kids, we're like, oh, here's something called a clause, and it's an advanced grammatical part that we can insert inside our existing sentences to pack more information in there, or maybe it's a parenthetical. And so we think that the longer and more involved a sentence is, the more advanced and educational it is. But in fact, it's very easy to make things harder to understand, which is never what you want to do with your copy, which is why this is a mistake.
Boom.
The end.
That sentence sounded like it should be a bullet list.
Write it down. A what?
A bullet list.
Oh yeah, bullets are great too. Oh my God. That's something that we didn't even talk about, but like bonus tip, like, James, when do you like to use bullets? Well, like, when are you reading through something and you're like, this should be a bullet list?
Anytime there's 3 points.
Yeah, or in a series.
The same thing. Like you just listed different qualities of a rainbow. And
yeah. So it's qualities of a rainbow.
A rainbow has, boom, boom, boom. And
or a rainbow.
Actually, technically then would still be a sentence, but.
Right, you're just listing in bullets. Yeah, so that's formatting concern, which we could talk about in a future video. We could talk all about formatting.
But the point is not having one thing do too many things, right? Like a bullet list is the way of breaking them out into like a digestible
Yeah. And then you cut down the risk of your reader connecting points that are not necessarily connected, because if you have two discrete points, and that's ETE, not EET, two discrete points in the same sentence, people might think, oh, because there's a comma in between them, they must be related. And then they're confused. Again, not a good thing.
Indeed.
Cool. What's the next common copy mistake that we hate and want to vanish off the face of the earth?
You-centric language. Well, not using
me-centric language or you-centric language?
You-centric language. Everyone's centric language. Now, two things, actually, that just made me think of. But the first thing, it's funny, I realized that it's kind of tough to talk about. But companies that say, we blah, 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 and we blah, 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 and our blah, 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 is not good.
Yeah. Because
the person who's maybe thinking about your company is thinking about themselves. Like, they might want to use your company, but they don't want to become your company. They want to be themselves. And so you have to frame what you do through the eyes of the you that you're talking to. And so you need to use you-centric language. And so the common copy mistake there is not using you-centric language enough.
I'm glad you clarified that, because I was like, wait, I always tell people to use you-centric language, because when you're reading it, the word you appears more. So we don't want to use we-centric language, right? Or whatever it is. You get the point. Talk more about them, not about yourself.
That's right.
And that's, sorry, go on.
Well, I was just thinking in terms of emails, one of it's tangential, but it's related, and you could arguably say it's you-centric as well, is talk to one person. Like, don't write an email being like, hey guys, blah, 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 because no one really wants to be part of a crowd of people. You want like a personal message to you.
Unless you're making them feel like part of like an exclusive community. And that's another. So I think these rules are not super hard and fast. Like, these are not always mistakes, right? You might need to talk about your company a little bit sometimes, but it's considering carefully when that information is appropriate. Definitely not right when someone's getting to know your company and you're like, we this, we that. Definitely not at the top of your about page, because the about page isn't about you, it's about them, right? But maybe toward the bottom, where you say, hey, these are our team members, here's all 10 of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or if you do something, like the company does do it, but you use it too much, when the whole thing just reads like all you're talking about is yourself. It's like
a long, boring resume, and nobody wants to read that. Cool. So don't do that. And that's a fun exercise, I think, that I tell people to do. Go through your existing copy, wherever it is, whether it's an email, go to your website, go to your landing pages, and see how many times the word we appears, or our, or us, and flip those sentences where necessary into you-centric language. So we are award-winning providers of blah, blah, blah. You could just flip that into work with award-winning providers.
Right.
Invitation, it's more about me. It's not about you, and it's more active.
Copy genius. Speaking of active, that brings us nicely to our next one.
Oh my God. Passive voice.
When the passive voice is used.
Nobody has an excuse for this, because this isn't something that we mislearned in elementary school. We actually learned not to do this in middle school.
I think we should start by saying, what is the passive voice?
Okay. What is passive voice? Passive voice is not attributing an action to a noun. So if you're saying she kicked the ball, that's active voice, because she kicked the ball instead of the ball was kicked. Mm-hmm. And we see passive voice so much in this businessy writing, where it's like, we've been awarded, and it's always awards, right? Like, I can't get off this award thing. So this is two mistakes in one. We have received an award. We have been awarded the blah, blah, blah. Who awarded it? It's so much less interesting, because it takes the action out of the present and out of more specific language, which we'll get to next, and just puts it in this nebulous realm of this happened. To whom, when, where, no one cares.
Your copy will be reviewed by.
Yeah, your copy will be reviewed by a team of expert copywriters. Why not just our team of expert copywriters review your copy, or will review your copy? So if you can identify passive voice through that use of the word by. Mm-hmm. Something happened by, or something will happen by. Yeah. It's bad. Don't do it.
And it just makes the copy weaker.
Yeah.
it doesn't spur people into action.
It's literally more passive, right? It's like the difference between your copy being like, "Rawr," and your copy being like, there's a lot of cats in my house right now, so all my analogies are cat related.
That's fair.
It's great. So great. Cool. Should we move on?
I think we should. 2, lack of specificity. Or umbrella terms.
Wouldn't this be funny if we just like left this? We're just like, lack of specificity is bad. Bye. Don't do it. Okay, so our good friend Amy Harrison has a great way of talking about this. I think it's hers originally, called umbrella terms. An umbrella term is where you probably started with some really specific, persuasive things, like whether they're pain points or benefits or phrases that you pulled directly from your customer research. But then you were like, man, I need a headline. And for some reason, I think this headline needs to be shorter. How do I mash all of these points into one? And you come up with something called an umbrella term, which is like high quality.
Better.
Yeah. Or
we
the
make
best,
your X better. Yeah.
Yeah. Or cutting edge. So like, at first glance, these are terms that we see everywhere, right? So they kind of seem good. But if you actually try to dig into them and say, what does cutting edge mean? There's more in there, right? You can unzip that and unpack, like cutting edge might mean that we use technology that came out this year. Or we train our team once a month to make sure that we're always well-versed in, this program or these softwares or whatever. But that's much more specific and paints much clearer pictures of what's happening than just saying like, we're cutting edge.
Totally. Or if something's better, it's the simple thing is to ask, how is it better?
Yeah. How's it better? Tell me
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where you don't have to like sit around trying so hard to come up with specific things, because chances are your customers or your users are already telling you in their reviews. You can go through and swipe what we call sticky language. And that's where a lot of specificity and memorable stuff can come from. And I give this example a lot because I was working for an online mattress company. There's a million of them, right? Their sites are kind of all the same. You can't really tell what the difference between this memory foam and this one is. But I was going through the reviews and somebody said, this mattress is so comfortable, I literally want to be buried on top of it. And I was like, cool, I'm taking that. Like, it's not just comfortable. It's so comfortable, people want to be buried on top of it. Like, this mattress will make you want to die in bed. I did not use that specifically. It was on brand for this particular company.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it. And
yeah.
Moving along from specificity of word choice is the last one, unclear calls to action, which is another form of vagary.
Yeah. Vagary. So unclear call to action, they bum me out. So you'll be reading a page. We talk a lot about landing pages as kind of like the default copy example because everybody has them. But if you're reading a landing page and you're like, this is solid, like understand what's being offered, it's actually moving me and like I'm actually being persuaded. And then you get to a call to action and the call to action is like, sign up.
Get started.
Get started. Oh, that's the worst one. What's going to happen when I click through that? So there's a way to reduce the fear and doubt, right, that people feel around these buttons. I just realized I'm talking just at you, James. Just like, oh, okay, cool. Well, feel free to chime in. Like, I do have a lot to say.
You speak on stages. This is your thing.
Yeah, my mom will email me every now and then and be like, I can't believe you do that. Isn't it scary? And she's like, you got to stop charging adoption fees for those kittens. And I'm like, you don't know anything about this. Okay. Anyway, specific calls to action. You need to, call to action has to do so many things, right? It has to clearly entice someone to take action now. And it has to preview what's going to happen afterward. Like, what will happen next? So if I click get started, is that going to take me to a sign up page? Is it going to launch an application? Is it going to download something to my drive? What's going to happen versus, start using X and Y software in 5 minutes. That seems like, it'll probably take me through a quick sign up and demo.
Yes, I want weekly emails.
Yes, I want weekly emails. So I know that when I click this button, I'm going to start getting weekly emails. And if that's, Oh, go on, go on.
I was just thinking this is like where micro copy under and around the
Yes,
button,
that's what I was just
right?
saying.
Like no credit card required. You're like, okay, cool.
Yeah. That kind of click trigger copy is my favorite thing to write, because sometimes there are so many things that you want to address in the call to action. You can't really make a button that's like 18 lines long, although why not test it? You can have a little line of text underneath. And that's one of my favorite spots actually, to use humor, because people always look under there expecting to see like, we don't save your credit card details, or like 256-bit encryption, military grade, like your details are safe with us. And I like to do something like, we do ask for your credit card details, but that's just because we have a lot of online shopping to do. And people are like a person wrote this, somehow, even though it's a joke about stealing my payment info, it makes me trust you more. Your mileage may vary with that.
Your mileage may vary. That's what I was thinking you could have as good copy under the button.
Yeah, your mileage may vary. We make no promises as to what will happen when you click this button. Someone clicks and a black hole opens up and just... someday we'll have that technology. I can think of a few people I'd like to send that link to.
But it all kind of comes together, right?
Yeah.
Specificity in the page, and then also in the action that you want people to take.
Yeah, and also
active.
The active voice. So we've sort of distilled our 5 common copy mistakes into one, which is lack of specificity. And sentences doing too many jobs can fall under that umbrella too. Oh no, James, we made this whole thing an umbrella video. Anyway, I have nothing else to say.
I think we should say goodbye for
another
episode of Snappy Copy
tips.